This is Crew Tales, Life in the Circus. In the motion picture world, there are an army of dedicated professionals who work behind the scenes to make the movies and shows we watch today. I'm Brad Hodson, and I've spent over 30 years in the motion picture industry. This podcast celebrates the people who make the magic behind the scenes.
Hi, I'm Dustin Schnart. Brad is away on set today, so I'll be interviewing Aiden Zanini. Aiden, welcome
Hi.
to the show.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I've been very stoked about participating. So,
Cool, thanks for coming. So first off, how would you describe what it is that you do in a film?
what do I do? I can say for a fact that I've been fortunate and lucky enough to do my dream job. It's not full time. I'm an underwater camera operator slash cinematographer. And it was a long road to get here, and there's still more to go. But yeah, I mean, how often can people say that they get a chance to do their dream job, even if it's part-time, which it kind of is, because it's a very niche kind of area of the film industry. It doesn't happen very often. It requires a significant budget or what have you to actually have it done. But I think it's one of the coolest things that you can do. I mean, it sounds cool.
It does sound cool. I don't think I would do more stuff.
Yeah, that's way
I
cool.
have difficulty with my buoyancy, so I'm always going up and down.
That is like the bane of every.
That's
Yeah, definitely.
So how do you come from getting into this, and where do you?
Oh God. Set the Wayback Machine to
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
80s. I was an AV nerd in school. Was proud of it. It was great. Shooting stuff like dances and air bands on SVHS. And then it kind of it bloomed into. I ended up going for some reason. I thought I would go to broadcast school eventually. For some reason, because I thought that's where TV shows came from in my sort of ignorance of the TV world. It was my mom actually that kind of got me in high school to say one day, because I was raised by TV. I was like the cable guy when he was a kid, raised by the facts of life, and you know what I mean. And so she said, "Why don't you find out how that stuff's made?" So I ended up volunteering at the local cable company in town. It was a very small town, and then it kind of bloomed over there. And there was like some progression that happened. Classic ADD kid is like, oh, what's that over there? Oh, that's shiny. So it was kind of a roundabout way. It took me, until I was my late 20s before I actually went back to school. And I ended up going to BCIT instead of Capilano didn't have a program at the time. It was just Vancouver Film School. And 25 years ago, it was sort of like, maybe, I don't know, a little bit, you'd hear things about it that it was like, maybe it's not exactly pro yet. If you wanted a film education, you had to go to university. And it's like, I can't foot that bill. I'm already an adult in my late 30s or in my late 20s. And so I thought, what, broadcast school, I'll get an idea. So I did the 2-year program and then realized that at the end of graduating, I didn't want to be cutting muffins for a producer at Global TV, which apparently was the entry level job that you could get. I'm like, oh, geez, but I think we had one guy out of our class ended up getting work as a camera operator, but he was doing the midnight shift on weekends chasing ambulances. Listening to the police radio and being like first camera on set, just doing it. I'm like, I'm not that guy. I'm the guy who jumps in to pull the door open, pull people from the burning car, not the like, hey, what's going on? This is great news, no. So anyway, I found out that I guess maybe I should just dip over into narrative stuff, like the traditional film and television stories. And then and that started my career. I ditched that, worked for a PA for a year, which was the worst. So I got out of that as fast as I could and into playback and visual effects on the 6th Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was like the first feature I ever worked in, and that was incredible experience. And then from that, I did it again, like ADD, huge right-hand turn. A friend of mine from school emailed me, says, "Hey, I'm working on cruise ships. They're hiring. Here's the name. Go." And I did. And I just dropped everything, packed up my house, and fit it all into like one of those garage size storage units. And even because it fit my car, plus everything I owned, it was great. Put the skis even were on the roof of the car. Like I just drove right in, turned it off, threw the keys in, and left. And 4 years of cruise ships, traveling about half the planet. I got to see, and as a video tech, a broadcast technician. So I was in charge of the satellite programming, like just maneuvering the satellite repairs or scheduling repairs, and back then it's not the little dishes that you see now on people's homes. It was the big 10-foot diameter dish, right? You could hear the thing, and just picking up satellites, and so that was really interesting. We were doing live production shows. We had automated programming, and it was like the very cusp of new technology coming in. So everything was like we were playing. I had like 10 VHS players, and literally the second year I was there, they actually came up with the very first media players, rack-mounted media players that they were using at like cable stations and stuff. Still all standard definition. There was no HD, and I think you probably remember when the Panasonic came out with the 24p camera, because we were shooting everything on these big bulky beta cams that as soon as you took it outside from the air-conditioned broadcast room down in your cozy little place, fogged right up. You're going up. I'm going up to shoot the belly flop competition. This is going to be great. Holy crap, man. This is she was standing in the men's washroom with the hot air hand dryer blowing into the mechanism with the tape popped out. Like people are looking at you, like, hey, yeah. Hot day, huh? Just like stupid situations you find yourself in. But I mean, this is one of those jobs you're like, I can't believe this is my life. The bartender knew my name, but came over. Here's my pina colada. Just because you could drink on the job. I mean, it was like, I don't know if I can say that, but well, whatever. It's 25 years ago. Yeah, and it's YouTube. So, what a great life experience. You're not going to get rich doing the job, but you got rich in life experience. So I got to see all these places I never even dreamed of. I've done the Panama Canal twice. I've stood on the doors of the Panama Canal, got to videotape my ship coming through and being towed by these little train things. Like Colombia, just kind of like just at the, I think it was like either just before or just after one of their uprisings. I've done the transatlantic twice. The second time was coming back from Europe, just after I can't remember the name of the hurricane, but we had to cross. We were trying to head for Halifax. It was the hurricane that hit Halifax and destroyed a lot of the pier and stuff like that. So it was like, well, we're not going there, but we had to sail through the tail end of it. And I remember the times I went up to the bridge, and we were in 60-foot waves that are breaking over the bow and hitting the bridge windows. And that's deck 10. That's 10 stories up from the waterline. And it's, like the ship's doing this and this at the same time. And then, oh my God, that's one of the few times you're happy to be like, because all the crews in the lower decks, I was lucky enough to have a porthole, which is funny because I had a dead fish in mind for like literally an entire contract. It was just sitting there watching it. If I had had a time lapse, that would have been the best, but it didn't happen. We didn't have that stuff back then. And it was just an exciting time. I went like Estonia. I didn't even know where it is. I thought Encino Man. That's the only time I've ever heard of Estonia, right? Like the movie. I got to go there, and that was amazing. We did like the whole Baltic states, ate caribou sausages in not Sweden. What is it? Norway, Sweden, and Finland. Thank you. And there was like some like Nazi gun emplacements. We did this whole jet boat tour of the islands around the city there, Helsinki, and just some great life experience memories. Like going Catherine the Great's palace in St. Petersburg. I was shooting the tour, like the Amber Room. There's like literally an entire forest full of petrified tree sap that they found like everywhere and brought it all to this one room. It's insane. So it really opened my eyes to like, hey, travel. There's a big giant world out there, and that you can do a job that you love and still make a bit of money at it and be happy and do, you know what I mean? Like I think at least my generation was sort of like the bridge generation between where the last of the jobs where you work your entire life for a company, maybe you work your way up and then you get your pension and then whatever, to like, maybe I'm going to do this for a while. And it's just sort of like that bridging generation, where like the technology is exploding so fast that it's allowing people to do different things. Or some jobs are going away completely, It's a big thing that we're seeing now too, with another major leap forward with AI and jobs being replaced, And so it's been interesting. Anyway, that was just 4 years. I'm going to jump around a lot. That's just the ADD, man. So when I got back, sorry. While I was on ships, I got my dive ticket.
Yeah.
I got my open water in Victoria because we were doing the Alaska run, and there was a Ogden Point. There was a dive shop there. It used to be, it's gone now. Got my open water ticket through them, and then I bought my very first housing. I bought my very first camera. It was just a mini DV, just for our own personal. We didn't have the Panasonic at that point. We were still shooting with the betas. So I had a little Sony mini DV, $600 in one of the like electronic shops down in St. Martin or something like that. And then I'm like, oh, I'm a diver now. I'm gonna do some underwater stuff. Cool. And I remember I was growing up there watching the Jacques Cousteau stuff. So now I'm diving. And the Caribbean, I mean, like there's so much life in and around the coral reefs and whatnot there. It's like, how could I not? So bought my first housing, and it was twice the price of my camera. It was just this like little, it was cool, little Icolite crystal, like what do you call it? It was a plastic derivative housing that fit the mini DV inside, and little eyepiece like this I could look through, which was brutal. Trying to look through that and like through your mask and everything because you get so much light coming in. But whatever, you could Zen aim it, banging the microphone. You could Zen aim the camera and got some great shots. And kind of like underwater was always like kind of like a bit of an equalizer. So I didn't have a dome port on it. So that means everything was 25% bigger. So I didn't have to worry about zooming a lot because it's just like already like, almost like added a good quarter amount of magnification on my image. Oh, this is great. I got really close to that clownfish. It's almost like a macro. And just being able to, and the Caribbean, crystal clear blue water, you can see visibility for days. The first officer heard that I had this thing, and he's like, oh, well, we want to, well, he was Swedish. So, hey, we got to go to do the hull inspection. That's a terrible accent. So I'm like, yeah, man, let's do it. So we're in Cozumel, and we had to we're alongside of the pier. Yeah, so we're like, we got to go check. We had come out earlier that year. There was like, what did we do? We had to get the hull painted. So this is all out of timeline order. I'm sorry. We had to get the hull painted. So we ended up going to, was it Mobile, Alabama? Mobile's on the Gulf. So we parked there in the dry dock. They drained everything out, and we had a week off. And I found like one of the best heavy metal bars ever. It was crazy. We were there every night, but I got to, because I was broadcast tech, I was one of the few people, the crew, who got to go down into the dry dock. It was all open air too. And these guys were up there, forever spraying, because it's got to go in multiple coats and super toxic paint, right? Because it's like, it's got to stick to the hull. We had to grind it all off and repaint it, and we had to do it in a week. And I'm walking around there like, look at me, I got the hard hat on and nothing else. A couple of shorts, t-shirt, and some crappy steel toe safety shoes. And I'm like videotaping all this stuff, and it was really cool. And then, we left port when they were done, which was way too early because the paint didn't have time to cure properly. So we ended up, we're sailing around for like 3 months, and this is when it happened. First officer's like, yeah, we need to check that out. You see what's going on down there. Like I get down there and like huge strips of the paint have already come off. Like the zincs already. Well, the zincs were a different thing, but they were like doing their thing. But that was cool. But swimming around the propellers. I mean, it's one thing to see them when they're like suspended, above you, and like holy crap, that's gigantic. But to be able to swim around them and like and be like, geez, I really hope the chief engineer locked out the engine. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. They said, well, I mean, there was like they had protocols in place. They were they're a very safe company to work for. There was like lots of safety training that every member of the crew had to go through. It was actually because of a near sinking incident in 1998 that my wife at the time, I met her on ships. She was my boss. She had a bigger cabin than I did. Anyway, so we had two cabins with windows. No big deal. She had what happened? Yeah, she was on this ship, and it turned out to be a nightmare. They were leaving Aruba. The captain didn't want to wait for the pilot to come out. They had repositioned some of the channel markers that they would guide them out between the reefs and whatnot. But not all maps or anybody's navigation displays were updated necessarily that quickly. Captain didn't wait, ended up hitting a reef about 10 minutes out, and they left at midnight. So like people were drinking, or a lot of people were sleeping because it was a later night departure, and they hit this thing, and it's below the water line, 20 feet. So that means it wouldn't be 20 feet. It would have been 10 feet below the water line, because the draft on the ship is usually 20 to 25 feet, depending. The draft is the distance between the actual water surface and the bottom of the ship. Yeah. So, yeah, and this just gouged into the front of the ship, thankfully, which is all mechanical. It's like the laundry room, which is all at the front of the ship, the machines and all that kind of stuff. And thank God the captain, even though it was his error to begin with, had the wherewithal to end up beaching it on a subsurface sandbar to keep it from sinking. But here you got this massive cruise ship listing because it's not a perfectly level sandbar, and the entire deck's zero, which was the deck that had flooded, and coming up to deck one, which is where the crew quarters start at, and down there is like hundreds of crew. All the people that work in the restaurant, for example, there are 4 guys to a cabin, about like less the size of this space here, evacuating, and all the passengers. And so all the lifeboats were dropped, but they couldn't drop the but they could only do the lifeboats on the port side because it was listing port side. It's like, right? Because the other boats are like this. There's no way they're going to just drag them down the side of the ship. There's completely unsafe. They would never be even able to load them, and even launching the port side boats. Anyway, it was just the worst nightmare. My wife, this was before I met her, was there at the time, and it was just like a nightmare because everybody left except the cruise staff, and there was only like 7 or 8 of them. They were in charge of debarking all the passengers. So there was like a massive phone calls to Miami, to head office, and so anyway, this whole thing, this is a great big nightmare had happened. So after that, safety, most likely probably part of the parameters of whatever lawsuits that have come about from that. But so coming back to modern times, like super amount of safety training goes into like every member of the cruise ship. Everybody has a job. Everybody reports to a specific station, performs that duty, and nobody leaves until the passengers are safe. Right?
Seems like a fairly safe way to travel.
It is, yeah. I mean, like it's not like Titanic times. Like, oh, we don't need to build up the flood walls. Oh my God. But what a fun way to get paid and learn and see the world. And
so you're practically doing underwater cinematography right right from the get.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, it was just hull inspections, which is kind of fun, but I also go out and like these great tours and shoot them. And I mean, I got all these mini DV tapes that are just sitting in these little drawers at home, probably oxidizing like crazy. I don't even know if I'd ever be able to recover them, but really great memories. But when I got back to Vancouver, I'm originally from Ontario. I moved out here in 1995. And convinced her to come out. West is best, and I sort of have a career lined up here. We could do that, and we ended up moving to where did we move to? Port Moody. And I just kind of reached out to some people that I knew from the film business, like, hey, I'm back in town. What do you got? So I kind of dove back into the film industry with in visual effects, because at the time you didn't need to be union. And you didn't need to be DGC to be a visual effects PA. So it's sort of like, oh, this is great. Like you don't have to jump through these. Yeah, I don't have to jump through any hoops to get back in, because the DGC, they did me wrong back then. Because I had no money, I had no work, and oh, you didn't pay your money to get in. Oh, sorry, you're gonna have to start over. We're kicking you out, and you're gonna have to reapply. And I'm like, bye. Whatever. They had their process, and this is how it was. And anyway, but it kind of was like the push to go, oh, I'm just going to go this way. I get to work on set, learn all about visual effects, and then you meet all these amazing people. And then I was hooked, totally hooked. And then I thought, well, how do I combine the dive work with this? Because that's a cool avenue. That would be fun. So I reached out to Crosby Marine. I reached out to two people who ended up being ultimately mentors for me. Was Pauline Heaton, who was the first woman cinematographer and first underwater cinematographer in Canada, won several awards during her career. And Braden Haggerty, who had been a mentee of Pauline, and she was amazing to work with. So such a kind person to work with and be around. And I reached out to Crosby Marine, sort of like the boat supplier company, and water safety company in basically the only one in Vancouver. And yeah, I just kind of from there, it just sort of slowly but surely just made my way onto the team. And from there, it was just a matter of coming out and just being a part of it, and expanding from there. And it's great, and it's still going on. We just did Percy Jackson, season 2, the underwater work. I'm not operating; Braden's operating, but I still come out and dive supervise, which is basically I'm responsible for all the safety in and around the tank for everybody, and everybody in it, everybody on it, or everybody around it. So. But I also get, there's commercials. I've done some great shows like Nancy Drew, Fire Country. I operated on Percy Jackson season 1 for a big scene, which was great. And I'm always amazed by like the actors especially the kid actors, because they're always stoked about stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, throw me in the water.
It's something outside of the normal filmmaking experience, right? Where like, you go to set, there's lights and stuff. Adding water just adds its whole other crazy element to it.
Literally. Yeah. And it's a different animal because, as like film, go, right? And it's you can't do that with water. You have to rely on your actors being comfortable in the water, your stunt people having trained them well enough to be comfortable in the water. And even then, there's always going to be that little voice in the back of your head that, because actors literally need to be in the moment. And if you have that distraction of the fear, that can either play to their performance or it can totally kill you. And it's it's sort of like a toss up sometimes, because you'll have you'll be in a situation where it's like, oh, okay, so now we're going to go down, and the breath hold during rehearsals was really good, but now all of a sudden there's a big giant camera in front of them, this big bulbous dome looking at you like a big one-eyed monster, and it affects the performance. So there's always that to work through, and just the everything moves slowly in water. We have a limited set of divers that we have. It's a very tight group. There's not a lot of us. I've been working with the group since Charlie St. Cloud was the first gig I got as a commercial diver for the show. And even just like moving some set deck around, it takes a while. You move it, it's all slow motion. You look like the $6 Million Man. Oh, we got to slow it down. And some shows like the Percy Jackson season, we had to build the tank, throw the liner in, and then build the set deck. We had to build an entire ocean bottom of sand and gravel and different levels of objects. And like there was a ship that had exploded, and now there's parts of it lying on the bottom of the ocean, kind of thing. And then I was like, oh, that's not right. Can we move that piece around? It took us like 3 days to set dress this thing, and then we had to let the water clear, because all the rocks and everything, even though they've been cleaned, being moved around, they're still giving off stuff, right? You can never get anything 100%. So you could, at one point we were watching while the divers are dressing, you can't even see them anymore. They're gone in this massive, it was eerie cloud. It was kind of cool, but not ideal for cinematography. You'd like to be able to control the environment. This is why we shoot in tanks, right? It's one thing I think a lot of people's like, oh my God, that must have been shot outdoors. Was it cold? Was it? I was like, you never want to do that if you can't help it, unless you're a nature shooters, right? What's the terrible name from? Against the names. There's a whole name. The guys I know, I'm just like, you're an idiot. Anyway, it's you always want to control your environment, just like standard film, right? That's why like people like process trailer or PMP work with the new screens, like, or virtual production,
I
right?
just did one. You just roll the vehicle in, and there's a screen behind you and screen overhead, and
Yeah.
you can move way faster than.
Oh, geez, right? You're not reliant on the weather. You're not reliant on having police. You're not reliant on constant stops.
Mhm.
You're just relying on the plates. But now the 3D plates are so beautiful. You don't even really need, because I came from a day when doing playback, we had the big projectors, and we would buy plates from people who drove around with like 60 cameras attached to the car.
Need a little bit more planning, pre-production stage.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing with all this. More interesting. You need to plan it out well, and then it makes your day go smoother.
Yeah, but then there was always hiccups. But when you move into the stage, and you're like, oh, cut, let's just go again right away. Oh, just reset the plates, keep going. Now you don't have to wait for them to reset around the block. Are the cops still there? Are they in the way? Are they in the shot? Like, So
do you still dive? Because I know a lot of professional divers stop diving for going to work. They don't want to do it anymore.
No, that hasn't happened to me yet, but diving here in Vancouver is effing cold. And one of the things that I love about diving, which drew me to it, is especially because I was lucky enough to be in the Caribbean when I went. When I got my training, it was in cold water, and that was it was kind of miserable, especially during your service interval, your time between dives. Because now, like, if you don't have a dry suit training, you're freezing your butt off, and you're not. I got to put this wet, freezing cold wetsuit back on, and then. No. And now, so like, even though I spent the money, I got like a $6,000 dry suit just sitting in a bin. And unless you spend the money to really get a few places, like go on like dive boat, or there's not a lot of sea life, especially after all my dives, like literally 80 and 90% of my dives are in the Caribbean, where you're surrounded by reef life. Oh yeah, but the biggest thing I've found about diving in the Caribbean or any warm water is your connection with the water. And I found like no matter how maybe crappy. Oh, I had a terrible sleep, or I was up all night partying and I'm still a little bit drunk. Coming out of the water after a dive is just you feel like $1,000,000. And just being down around that much sea life in and around you, the reefs are still alive. The fish, like everything it's you soak it up. You lose that connection, in my opinion, in cold water diving, because your basic survival equipment that keeps you alive and surviving the system. You've got maybe this much skin exposed, like on your face, and that's it. Maybe there's some, your hood will get some water in it, but whatever. It's not. There's no connection though. Now I'm just down there. My hands are freezing. Can barely push the buttons on my camera if I bring one. Otherwise, most of the time I'm just like, there's nothing to see. I said, oh, we're gonna look for this eel den. I'm like, oh, great. Cool if you can find it. And if the eel's still there. Otherwise, oh, look at this empty hole. More dirt covered rock, or oh, look, a sea, a sea star, or some, oh, plume anemone. Okay, guys, I gotta go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm easily bored. I don't know. There's some divers out there who disagree. Probably there's some beautiful places to dive here. I know there's like places up island. I've not had the privilege to dive up there yet. One day I will, but for local diving, we're just going to Whitecliff Park. Oh, football. Not even a fan, but I'll watch some football, or like, oh, breweries. Oh, let's go over there. You know what I mean? So
what kind of things do you do outside?
Geez. Just being outside and just being with friends and being with my family. So it's been you get all that here. I mean, like BC, I mean, you could go golfing and skiing the same day.
Yeah.
And diving even, really, technically. And it's just like, it's so beautiful here when the weather's nice, even when it's not nice. But when it's like, when it's gray and you're going to work at 5 a.m. you got to unload the truck and you're like, my life. But when days like this, like, holy cow, forget it. I was driving across the Lions Gate just to get here, and I'm like, oh man, I love this bridge. Just get the lions up there at and looking up the inlet to. It's just, I don't know, it's magical here. It is.
And you don't have to deal
Insane.
with snow. She's a big draw for me.
Yeah, but fair. I don't mind. You're from Saskatoon, is that what you said? Okay, so yeah, you grew up with it. For me, I like, because like it boosts the amount of light. It's bounce.
Yeah.
It's bounce. So the ambient light, and there's like, it gives me a little bit more happy feeling.
Well, I started there in cinematography. I'm shooting in Alberta in the winter because it's not cloudy. You get the full day. It's all bright sun.
Yeah.
And I get it.
It's okay. It's the handoff. Yeah. It's their trade-off. So trying to do more camera operating, like regular operating, because that is my passion. I love telling a story. And like when I do get behind the lens and I try and figure out editorially, I look at it perspective wise from the actor's point of view, and try and like more often than not, I'll be the only person who's sort of in the water with the actor in front of me. The first AD is way over there, or the director, or the DP and whatnot. So it's just the two of us, and I really enjoy being in that moment where it's just the two of you, and you're at the surface maybe, and like, there's been a few times on some projects I worked on where I had to give the actor the moment, right? Because everybody's like, go, go, go. And it's like, we're just going to take a minute here, and because, the whole breathe up for them is you use some quiet time, time to focus and settle, because not only have to remember the actions that they've been given by the director, and they have to emote, but they got to hold their breath the entire time. And just to be there within that moment, just to kind of help be the quiet energy with them, and try and almost not be there as a distraction, and then just talk about it. Okay, whenever you're ready, you give me the thumbs up, and I'll count just 1, 2, 3, and we'll go down. And whenever you're comfortable there, just start, and I'll work with you. Don't worry about if you're facing correctly the wrong way or whatever. We have speakers that the surface can talk to the actor, like, turn your head a little bit more to the right so we can see you. But I'll do my best to accommodate you so you do not have to worry about being in a frame or out of frame or whatever. I'll come to you. I'll find you, like a good operator would do, right? So and just to try and be 100% there and present in the moment with them is very rewarding. It's great. It's a great feeling to be able to be a part of their process so that they give their best performance by giving your best performance. So it's
Like
really
one of
cool.
the things that I've noticed a lot of the remote heads we've been doing lately, where you have
Yeah.
the operators now sitting in the back of the room,
Right. The
on
dolly
wheels,
guys. Yeah.
and you're kind of losing that connection. It's like being underwater.
Yeah.
It's just you two.
Yeah.
There's even more of a connection than would be regular operating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get that opportunity to work directly with the actors and experience their process live. There's a short film that I operated for Micah Sharkey came out in DP. They went through a couple of different DPs, and because it was a short film, there was like availability challenges and whatnot. But ended up being Micah, who I've known for years, ever since she was a second, and so we finally got to work together, which was really cool. And it was about it was called Hatch, and it's some refugees from Syria and wherever else that are trying to escape to Europe in the tank of a water tank truck. And so there's some surface work, and then it comes time they come to cross the border, and then we go down, and there's two kids who were a part of it, and they were amazing. Because there's not a whole lot of dialogue. It's just what's going to happen to us. It's just like the humanity of it. Sort of, it's like an important story to tell because this is the stuff that's going on, right now in the world. It has been for years, and it's scary. I mean, we forget how lucky we are here. We're sort of, even farther than arm's length away from this stuff. So that's what kind of like these smaller projects is something that really helps fulfill me. Is like, oh, I get to help tell this story. It's not my story, but I'm going to help tell it the best that I can. And yeah, it's great. So I'm getting all emotional. I went to a funeral today, and it's like a really great crane tech passed away, and it's like and the turnout to show their people pay their respects and share their memories and stuff like that. That's why this whole industry is, we're a big family.
Yeah, it's more of a community than an industry.
It is, and it's a huge community, but at the same time, it's an important one because we're spending so much time away from our family that these people become our family, and it's we get to do the job that we love to do, and so you never have to work a day in your life, kind of thing, technically. So it's yeah.
I've been doing this for 10 years still, even though like it's raining, it's cold, and it's 6 a.m. I'm still leaping in the morning to go to work because the awesome stuff you get to do.
Well, until you get to a certain age, you used to make more of like a creep out of bed. Back to it. You know what I'm talking about, but yeah, I know, I totally agree because it's like we get to blow up a car today, or there's like a stunt, or there's something really,
And it's mostly the people.
It is. Yeah, I can't wait to continue that conversation about whatever with the DP or that LX guy that just started, or catch up with hey, how's that thing? How's the guitar playing?
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Because these are the people that we. Yeah, exactly. Well, we killed a dragon. No big deal. Something stupid like that. Anyway.
What kind of stuff in your kit? Those are go-to for maybe wouldn't be something you normally expect in your repertoire. This is something that comes in.
Give me an example. Like, Like an actual piece of gear, or just like a
a
piece
piece of gear or a technique. Like I worked on this one show with this. He had a towel sewn together with a shower curtain
Okay.
inside to make your towel rainproof. So like normally when it's raining in the electronics, you gotta put a big garbage bag over top of it.
Yeah.
He just throws his towel over top of it. The towel absorbs the sound, so it's not making much of noise, and it's waterproof.
Oh wow.
Underneath. So I like this
Genius.
is a brilliant idea. I got one made.
Yeah.
And we were big rainy day. The grips had the big 20 by over top, and they were moving it. I'm like, hey, do you need me to pull the camera out there? It's like, no, we got this.
Oh no.
Direct hit
No.
with all the water right on top, dry underneath.
Oh.
Perfectly fine. And we
Right.
were like way up in Prince Rupert when this
Oh,
happened,
no.
so like, to get a new camera would have been a couple days. And the towel
That's
saved the day.
Yeah.
A direct hit.
Right? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
It's all you need. Well, and the
Keep calm
book.
and carry your towel.
Yeah, right? Keep calm, carry your towel. Holy cow, that's amazing. Yeah, but it's funny. It's like little things like that. Okay, that's give me a sec for that one. There's a ton of things. This is an ideal one. Well, waterproof slates. They're just like the basic slates. Nobody makes them. You have to kind of make it yourself almost. With all the Velcro, you got to Velcro all the letters and everything. It's kind of funny. But I think one of the helpful ones is just it's like a little pocket light that you can use that the actor can see, because actors can't see shit in underwaters. Can I say shit?
Yeah.
That's YouTube. Okay, actors can't see anything underwater. So, a lot of the time, which is helpful also, again, the underwater speaker, also another great tool, but it's only unidirectional. The surface can only talk to underwater. We don't have the fancy comms or any of that sort of thing. The ability to coach, but also just for the light, because if you could just have them this little light that doesn't shine in their eyes, it's not bright enough to give them like an actual eye light, but it's bright enough that the actor can actually see it as separate from the dark, has been a huge help. And it's just like a little thing. We pay we've experimented over the years with like different little things that's not going to light the face, not going to unless the DP likes it, like a little sparkle, little eye light, but it's just enough for them. The actor can adjust their either camera left or camera right side of the camera, and to give their eye line and emote. It's just like a littlest thing, but it helps. I think all of the things that we've had to come up with, like for costumes, you have to talk to again, this is pre-production, have them sew little tiny pockets into the costume. Because there's nothing like an actor who has to jump into the water in a dry costume. And this is one of the hardest things, because if your shot includes the surface of them jumping in, as soon as they get in the water, they're going to float, because as their clothing isn't wet already, it's going to make them float before as it actually saturates and starts to sink. And most of the time the actors will have, depending on the water temperature, they might have like a 1 or 2 mil flesh colored neoprene undersuit, which is also super buoyant. So we have to have them, weighted properly, and you can weigh something different from day to day, depending on what you had to do, dinner, how much sleep you've had. And these are all the things that kind of come up. So, pockets in the costumes, so we can put stuff in there. Do we pre-wet them? Can we? Are we going to see them before they enter the water? These sort of things, these conversations. And it's funny because it's, during the pre-production meetings, that stuff never really gets brought up, because people don't, do you know what I mean? Until they get to the, oh shit. And they actually see it on camera when. Yeah. Because they literally, it's one thing, we'll have them rehearse with like a little mask on, like the little swimming mask, sometimes with a full face, but that leaves marks on their face. So you can't do that for very long. And then being able to light or just give them something to look at, it's like a huge boon. You know, they might get it. They'll give them the mask. We can run through the whole rehearsal with the mask on, and then they kind of have an idea. But again, once you take the mask off, you're like, you can't see anything really, right? And it's and then in the tank, the idea is we only with the controlling of the lights, where we place the lights, because you want that fall off. I mean, you are ultimately inside a tank, but you want that abyssal appearance. Whereas, like, you know, behind them, well, actually 20 feet back there is the back wall, but you don't want to see that. You want to have that in camera that it just disappears. And it's funny, we've been able to recreate that in even like a pool, like a small backyard pool. But the lights are like super helpful. And depending on where the DP has put his or her lights, they could be coming in and you could be getting like a little sparkle or refraction that affects their sight, so they can't really see much. So just like a little $10 thing can like save thousands of dollars for the well, you're not looking far right enough, and then and then all of a sudden their breath hold is up, right? If they're not looking the right way, and then they get frustrated, you know, because somebody who's maybe not used to talking on the radio might be directing them, no, back left a little bit, oh no, back to the right, no, sorry, oh, you know. I've seen that happen, and that's catastrophic almost, because now the actor will get frustrated. Now their performance is starting to be affected.
And everybody knows you're wasting time.
Time is, yeah, and because it's already taking once. I think for me, like shooting underwater is you take how much time you've allotted to shoot these scenes and times it by 1.5, sometimes even 2, depending on how ambitious the script is. Like we did on season 3 of Sirens, great underwater show with mermaids and whatnot, and it did really well. Unfortunately, not well enough before it got distribution, before it got sent out. So they canceled it. But on season 3, we did an entire real mermaid battle with multiple stunt people and the main cast. And it was amazing what we did. And here's the other thing. When you're in the water, you have no idea where you are in the water column between the surface and the bottom. And if you can't see where you are and you have no reference point, you tend to either bob up and down. Like if you're on breath hold, you're not really going to move, but you're trying to stay still, but you can't tell because you don't have a mark, right? So, oh my God, how many times we actually had this in this battle, particularly, we had 4 pick points that the stunt riggers had done down to just to keep the background stunt mermaids in place, in frame, so they're not doing this. And that happens a lot. Like I see, I'm like blocking my own light. See, this could happen. Yeah. And and we did this amazing setup, and where we followed this one mermaid in with their spear, and they attack another one, and then as the camera pans through the action, or there's more tracks through the action. There's like another foreground fight comes in, and they roll away, and this huge choreographed sequence where nobody can see each other, so they had to rehearse their stick hits and spearing. So then actually, there's obviously their prop spears, so they don't actually, but there's still an opportunity to get hurt a little bit and be all in the same level. So the camera's not having to do this. Like the operator would be like insane trying to like keep up with all of that activity. So the rehearsals, everybody would count it down. Everybody's at the surface breathing up and go. And then and these people are waiting, right? Because we can't drop them. They need to get into position and be there when the camera lands. Like these last group of mermaids that are just sitting there, and then they go in, and it was cool. Yeah. That's like that. I know, and nobody would have technically, unless you saw how much work went into choreographing and actually setting up that one shot, nobody really appreciate it because they're in the story. They're like, oh my God, this is a mermaid fight. This is amazing. It's not my favorite one though, because I remember one of the things you mentioned was what was my favorite underwater. It just occurred to me as by the best underwater scene. And this is, I don't know, maybe just because of my age. Val Kilmer in, what's it called? Oh, this is terrible. Not Spy Hard. Top Secret.
Oh yeah.
Top Secret has an underwater bar fight scene. That happens where he's fighting the bad guy. They fall off the truck into the river, and they come down, and all of a sudden there's like a 1800 saloon, and he walks through the swinging doors, and the whole thing's underwater. Right, guys are playing cards, and can you imagine? Like, holy cow, the choreography they got that done. They all dive under the table when the guy shows up, and like by far, like even like in one of my favorite movies is and Pete Romano from Hydroflex, the Hydroflex inventor, an amazing guy. Like set a huge standard for the industry. I'm not sure actually. I don't know if he won a technical achievement award for that, but he might have. Anyway, what is it? The Life Aquatic, the Wes Anderson movie, and it's just so campy, but it's beautiful because of Wes Anderson's styling. But now they took it underwater and the stuff like that. But the Top Secret movie is like by far and away my favorite.
What's your favorite film that you project you worked on?
Jeez, I think right off the top would be the little short film of Hatch, just because it is an important story. And I think, and it's funny, it so happens that also there's been a lot of indigenous projects that I've been a part of. Also, in that sort of genre of an important story to tell, whether it's about just the indigenous peoples, but it's and their spirituality and their connection to the land. Like we did one where it was part of the story that they wanted to declare the Burrard Inlet a person, to give it the same rights and freedoms that a person would have, a human being, because it was a huge part of the people's culture, that it's a living, breathing organism, that this whole inlet, it provides life, there's like a place for death, there's the whole caveat of things that it included in the storytelling of it. And it was like, man, I wish I had some more culture. Even being a part of these stories is like, it opens my eyes. So I learn and I become a better person. I grow personally from these things. And this is like, this is what we do, because as a species, we're storytellers. And this is part of it, and I get to be a part of it. So definitely the Hatch thing, because it was fun. My very first underwater like professional gig was a film called Monkey Beach, and it was funny. The DP was Sterling Bancroft, who coincidentally was the person who taught me about the Gates underwater housings. He was working with Pauline Heaton. She owns her own housings for films, and we would train in her backyard in the pools. And here we are, like, whatever, 10, 15 years later, whatever, no, not that long, but anyway, this time I'm back to that same pool to shoot these scenes for this independent feature film. And Sterling's the DP, and he hired me to the thing, so to be the operator. It was lovely, like, it was a really rewarding to come full circle after that time and the experience in between, and having had my my career expand to that point where I could do the job. And yeah, it was great.
Do you have any advice that you'd give to somebody up and coming that maybe wants to point cameras underwater?
It's a bit of a rigmarole in BC and in Canada, I think expressly. I think Canada is one of the safest countries, I think, to work in, because we have so much safety in place for like training wise, whatever. In the States, you can just have your PADI and you can work on sets as a diver, safety diver, whatever, what have you. Here, you have to be a commercial diver, and which is 5 to 6 weeks of training at one or two places. I went to Dive Safe International in Campbell River. Great setup in 2007. But yeah, it was like it's very expensive. And that was back before, I think, the unions, the local union, like 891, eventually put a group of people through from special effects or grips and electrics to do get their commercial dive ticket. But it's an insurance thing. They want to be ultra sure. It's a cover your ass situation, but it helps because it makes everybody that much more safe and much more aware of what can happen. We're not diving to great depths. We're not worried about people getting the bends or anything, but we do for what we do, we still encounter ear damage because we're bounce diving. Technically, it's only 15 feet, but you do that over the course of 12 to 14 hours. And your eardrum, at some point, I had one of my grips. He's got loss of hearing in one ear because he pushed it too hard. And this is one of those things. It's like, that's the other thing we expressly provide or tell people is like, we're not here to kill ourselves. Like, especially stunt people because they're so gung ho, right? Yeah. It's don't force it because if you get injured, now we're going to lose you. And then you won't be able to come back to the show. And then now we got to replace you. And then now we don't know if we're going to have somebody who has the same training. Is somebody available? There's a whole rigmarole. So it's like you take it slower, you dial it down a bit, and you just go. This is where we are. Okay, great. Get it done. And everybody goes home. But for new people, I'd say, if you're really interested in it and you want to work, I think independent film, I'm not sure. I don't think it falls under the same rules. You can be a PADI person and do the thing. Just be as safe as possible and tell that to the people that you're working for. Especially in independent film, because there's like a lot of people get the disillusioned with the whole Hollywood look and like, we're shooting movie underwater. It's like, yeah, but now you've just added like a whole other level of potential danger to your production, which is why I think they like here in Canada to have the commercial dive training, because that could go south really quickly if you're not really focused on it. So get your commercial ticket. It's worth it. It's worthwhile. See if you can get the union to pay for it. You never know. I think they're really far more open to that stuff these days. I had to pay for mine. It was $12,000 in 2007. A lot of money. And I think just be passionate about it, because it is. And I'm assuming anybody who's going to actually go for that, you care about making movies. And yeah, and you get to know people in the industry. That's all I did. I made the effort. I hustled, talked to the people that were involved in the water work, and just kept going that way. It worked out great. Probably a little bit longer than I wanted to, but then again, I'm not an ambitious person, so I did it at my speed, and I still got there, and without stress, without I didn't get the job, didn't get the job. It's okay. There'll be another one. Always has been. So I think have a good mental attitude about it too. I mean, there's not a whole lot. It's very niche, a whole lot of work. So, but I mean, yeah, if you want it, go for it. Just do it. Nike. Wait, which camera? Nike. Yeah. Yeah, if anybody wants to check out some of the posts I've done some really neat stuff. It's just my name, Aiden_Zanini on Instagram. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Chiron. It's right around here somewhere. Yeah, and then I just all I post on that is just my underwater work and projects. It's been some really cool stuff I got to be a part of, and it's a great team. So it's like the underwater family is just it's great. It's like the family within the family, Yeah, I can't believe I get to do this job, right? I mean,
Yeah.
right? Even on those crappy days, you're like, you know what? But today, it's still good. We get fed.
Yeah.
Free
I mean,
fruit
even,
is
like,
my favorite flavor. I don't know.
the slowdown and the lack
The
of
slowdown,
work,
yeah.
like, it's like a drug. Craving it.
Yeah. And I think, and it's funny because this film industry attracts a certain kind of people. And I find the whole, the camaraderie, the conversations you have, it's good for my mental health. Speaking for myself personally, I find that the last couple of years of this drawdown, like or COVID, was particularly hard. I'm a social person. I crave the contact or connection, and just like, even no matter what it is. And it's like one of those things where if you're sitting at home alone, those monsters can kind of creep into your brain and start to tear you down. And it's yeah.
Well, that other industry, people we get to interact with. You get thespians, you get
Yeah.
drive trucks and artists and camera people. You get this whole mix.
Yeah.
A wide variety of people working together to
Yeah.
one thing.
Yeah. I mean, some people will be like, yeah, well, the drivers or whatever, and they get, but the same, like I find when you're on set, it's that kind of cohesive when everything's just running and the camera moving. Okay, we got that. Moving on. The next setup, the rehearsal, like, and you get the machine starts running. It's just, I don't know. It's really cool.
Same kind of super happy to be there.
Yeah.
Excited to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
And like,
Totally. Yeah. And just regular people. I was fine. Like some of the cast are just regular people. I did something stupid on the 6th day with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but whatever. I was younger, and we were shooting at the Vancouver Public Library, and he's coming into set, and I'm just walking out. I was doing biz effects on the show and working with the playback guys. And as we're walking by, there's nobody else around. He's walking in. I'm walking out down one of the book hallways, and I make eye contact with him, and I go, "He's very nice, very nice. Keep it up. No spaghetti arms here. Keep going." I'm like, yeah. Schwarzenegger.
That's a cool story.
Talk to me. He talked to me. Stupid stuff.
I was excited you didn't have.
He was like, me too, because I wasn't really working out at the time. I don't know. It was pretty funny. It's very nice. That was weird. Interesting man, though. But just stuff like that. Like, what'd you do at work today? I made an ass out of myself in front of Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's a photo of me, actually. I got at the wrap party, because I had made friends with this young lady who was there, and I think she was the daughter of the one makeup person that they brought up from LA to do all the makeup for everybody. And so we were talking. We were like, had a nice sort of jovial friendship on set. She's like, "Oh, hey, well, I can introduce you to Arnold if you like." I'm like, "Sure." And he just happened to be walking over that. And I did another stupid thing. Just because I'm always up with the gag. It was a class clown when I was a kid. I was just like an idiot. So we sit there, we pose, and as he's about to take the picture, I turn sideways, put my hands on his shoulder like this, click, flash, and thank God it's a hard copy. I don't know where it is today. I'd love to find it again, but I got the picture from her, and it's like, so I'm like this stupid look on my face, like touching Arnold's, and he's like this, like, come on, this fucking guy. Oh God, it was embarrassing, but whatever. This was after. I don't know if he remembered me or not, but anyway, it's just one of those dumb things that you do when you're like younger. Anyway, thanks for having me. I'm not sure how much are you gonna have. Can you some of the stories would have been along there? This is cool.
Yeah.
Well, that about wraps it up for another episode of Crew Tales, Life in the Circus. I'd like to thank our producers Dustin Schnart and Dustin Girton, as well as our technical producer Rob Hunt. I'm Brad Hodson. Thank you for joining us.